Yeah, sure. Let me just come to Honorable Kirwa and ask, because we stand ourselves as a country which is democratic. And we always know, they've always said, the wise ones, John Dewey, that, you know, democracy begins in conversation. And the question I would proffer to us, since we're all talking about national dialogue and conversations and the negotiations, we are a democratic country. Conversation is the soul of democracy. Right now, as we're calling for a conversation or a dialogue, is what is being asked by Raila Odinga and his political operatives around him as well, is this the soul of democracy? Or, and another question I want just to add to that as well, or this also, his quest for this dialogue will be him putting his political career on a chopping board?
Yeah, it's very interesting, Dibal. The way I look at it, and I've been going through the history of this country, especially election cycles. Since independence, we have had 13 of them. And almost invariably after every election, and for lack of time, I'll not explain what happened from 64 up to 2022. But I just want to say it's only one election that the opposition remained opposition and the government of the day remained the government. That is the 2013-2018 election. But all others have been muddled up by either the government going to fish on the opposition benches or the opposition looking at the government through the window and wanting to join the government through the back door. That is where our main problem stems. We have not accepted that when you go for election, you either win and you form the government, and if you don't win, you go to the opposition and you play your role as responsible opposition, correcting the government where they make a mistake, or trying to applaud the government where you feel they have done the right thing. Now, this brings me to the second question, that for me, the cabinet that is going to be formed should be entirely the cabinet that President Ruto believes in, that this is the team I can work with for the next 3 years. The hand of those in the opposition should not be so visible. And if he was to get somebody from the opposition, let it be that he has chosen that from the opposition benches I can pick so-and-so to come and serve me and further the agenda that I have with the people of Kenya. That brings me to the question of Barack Muluka saying, let Raila join the president so that together they get an avalanche all the way to the sea and they die out of self-destruction because of lack of vision. The danger that I see, Dibal, is that should that be the case and should that be the perception that the government that is going to be formed or the cabinet is between Raila and President Ruto, where President Ruto is almost a co-president or Raila is a co-president, the issues that have been distilled by the GNCs will be lost in that political confusion. What is my suggestion? Let the cabinet be formed. Upon formation of the cabinet, the president will also do internal soul searching to see whether we need 51 permanent principal secretaries, or do we need to reduce the number perhaps to about 35. And once that issue is settled, now we go to the issues that have been raised by GNCs, starting with 1 up to 10 or 15, the number that we know. And we place them in some kind of grading. Those we can solve immediately, those which are mid-term, and those who require long-term. And for my suggestion, the Ministry of Youth Affairs should have a director of youth dealing exclusively with the issues that have been raised by young Kenyans. And in the intervening period, one of the quick wins, if there will be military recruitment, police recruitment, teacher recruitment, let them be distributed to sub-locations so that every place in Kenya feels our child has gone. Today, if there is recruitment in Cherangani or in Eldoret North or Soi, parents go there with money, knowing that after they have gone through what they call inspection about their health and so forth, or what they call medical tests, at about midnight, money will start parting hands between those who are recruiting and those whose children are supposed to be recruited. Now, I also wanted to persuade my good brother, Dr. Barak Muluka, that leadership is a blend. Perhaps the youngest cabinet that I know since the formation of all cabinets in Kenya by the 5 presidents is that of Jomo Kenyatta. It was the youngest in the sense that he had people who were at the age of 32 like Daniel Musyoka Mutinda, Chief Justice at the age of 30-something, the first African Chief Justice Kitili Mwendwa, people like Dr. Sakari Onyonga at the age of 29, he was a full minister. Kibaki was a minister at the age of 30-something. And in most cases, if you are to do the average age of that, they were under 40. Perhaps Jomo Kenyatta was privileged because those are people who had gone to school. But even today, we should have a blend because apart from that, there are people like Harvester Angaine who are above 50. And he was made a minister courtesy of delegation from Meru, that we don't have a minister and we are part of this struggle. And Angaine was elevated from assistant minister in the Ministry of Agriculture to full minister in lands and settlement, a position he occupied for such a long period. There were people like the later Koinange, who was like a advisor to the president. He was above 50. Njonjo became Attorney General when he was under 50. Of course, he got married at the age of 51 when he was the sitting Attorney General. So these are some of the stories that society is not about young or old. It should be a blend of all, so that you share in the wisdom and the experience and the failures we have gone through. To get to my age, you have made plenty of mistakes. To get to my age, you have made a lot of success. To get to my age, you have covered a lot of ground and you have something to offer. A young person is faster. He can wake up at 5, come to Nairobi, the way I used to do when I was first elected, go back by 6 o'clock, he's back in Cherangani. Today, to go to Kitale, I have to make it a ceremony. I have to pray for it.
It's because
before I start
looking for a chopper.
Yeah.
I have no capacity to have a chopper.
It's a psychological preparation.
Yeah, preparation so that I know. So these are some of the things that as a nation, we must have effective national conversation. Sure. That's why I say conversation, because dialogue is more of you and I, plus another person listening.
Right.
But conversation means including all of us.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right, the music is up, and it's a time for us to take a short break. And when we circle back, of course, we continue.